Good evening. On behalf of the commissioners and staff, I would like to welcome you all to the April 9, 2024 City of Roseville Grants Advisory Commission meeting. Please put all electronic devices on silent at this time. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table. If you plan to speak at tonight's meeting, please complete a speaker card and return to the staff table. The meeting may be viewed on Comcast Channel 14, Consolidated Communications Channel 73, and AT&T Uverse. Grants Advisory Commission meetings are also video streamed live on the city's website at roseville.ca.us/watch and roseville.ca.us/agenda, and the city's YouTube channel at youtube.com/cityofroseville.ca. Yeah. So I'll now call the meeting to order. Heather, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Acosta?
Here.
Commissioner Carroll?
Here.
Commissioner Haywood?
Here.
Commissioner Kriz?
Present.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Here.
Youth Commissioner Unidad?
Here.
Vice Chair Parker?
Here.
And we have an excused absent for Chair Reed.
Thank you. Everybody, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So now I'll open it up to public comment. Public comments is a time for anyone that would like to address the commission on any grants advisory related items not listed on tonight's agenda. Speakers addressing the commission during this time are asked to approach the podium, state their name, and are limited to 3 minutes. Again, the topics must be regarding items that are not listed on tonight's agenda and are within the Grants Advisory Commission's jurisdiction. The Brown Act does not permit any action or discussion on items not listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on items addressed under public comment. Anyone have anything for public comments? All right, well, I see none, so I'll close public comments. The next item on the agenda is item 5.1, approval of the January 9, 2024 meeting minutes. I will at this time entertain a motion if there are no comments or corrections.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are adopted. Let's see. Okay. Next on the agenda is the primary reason we're here for tonight, and that is the 2024-25 funding workshop, which will walk through our funding recommendations for this cycle. And at this point, I will now turn it over to staff.
Good evening. If we could get the PowerPoint presentation. Tonight, the commission is going to review the grant applications. We received a total of 42 applications split between the priority groups, as you could see on the slide. Staff reviewed all the applications and 4 were deemed incomplete, so 38 were scored and ranked by the commissioners. This year, the commissioners had a total of $621,270 to award to the applicants, and the funds are broken down in the following: $255,270 from the Citizens Benefit Fund, $356,000 for the ARPA funds, and $10,000 from the REACH Fund. Before I hand the presentation over to Vice Chair Parker and the Commission, I wanted to remind the Commissioners that if you have any applications that you recused yourself from prior to the discussion happens, please state why you're recusing yourself. Also, we'll be doing a roll call vote on each priority group, so that just so you guys know, Heather will ask for a roll call to make it go a little bit faster and smoother. And now you guys can talk through the applications and the funding.
All right. So I thought initially that we could, I was going to make us some suggestions on how we could proceed. The first is, as I noticed a couple years ago, and thankfully it looks like the staff did it, they percentages along the lines to denote the averaged amount proposed against the requested amount. And my understanding, and I'm going to also propose this, is in previous years we've anything above 70% was fully funded. Was that the case, or no?
It changes.
Okay.
It changes, but yeah, so go ahead. Yeah, we can discuss the process, I guess, a little bit, but what's reflected here is each of the commissioners ranked them and then gave the rankings, and then that was aggregated together with both commissioners' recommended award for that particular application as well as our ranking, and then the methodology went into that just to get any biases out of there by taking our top three and weighting them all equally, and then came up with the rankings as is. So just a quick reduc in regards to how we got to this point here. So
Perfect.
hopefully that'll help a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, did anybody else have any thoughts on that? Okay.
Yeah, well, I just want to add, I think in the past, we haven't focused on a percentage, but I think typically what we do is the highest ranking, and we don't have to do this, but we can. I mean, in the past, it seems like the highest ranking, we would fund at 100%, and then there'd be some point at which we would make a decision to partially fund, and then another point at which within that group, we wouldn't fund it all, and kind of trying to figure out where those lines are. I don't think we went in with a certain percent.
Well, some of the observations I have from just reviewing this is, the average amount proposed, the total of that doesn't get to our full funding available, so we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to increase the awards over what was proposed. Secondly, one of the things that got us to the different categories, as well as going through the process of the community needs assessment, was council's direction to not just cut everybody and give everybody something,
Yeah.
but was to work more towards giving full awards for the projects that were proposed. Now, unfortunately, that cuts a few of the other ones off that are less ranked, but that does give us an opportunity to weigh giving more money as opposed to a little bit of something for everybody. And then finally, as we did in the past, we kind of looked through those. I would propose looking through the percent requested funding, and there'll be a kind of a bright line in there in
Okay.
regards to where, that's how we kind of got to that 70, 65%. There's kind of a bright line there that we can make a decision whether we wanted to, that as a break point in whatever funding approach we decide to take.
Okay.
I just want to ask for clarification. I thought that was the rank, that we would go at the rank and go at a certain point, have that
Yes.
definition line. Okay, you said average funding, so I
Well-
just wanted to clarify.
Well, if you look at the rankings, they are ranked, and then if you come down on the percentage, okay, there's kind of a bright line at this point
Yes.
to where we might have that a break point between a full funding, partial funding discussion that we would have. That's what I was getting at, but yes, they are
We just
all
have to-
ranked.
Yeah, we just have to
Okay.
be careful, because there are some 60%ers intermingled.
Oh,
further
there
down
are,
in the-
there are,
yeah,
but-
so
but
I
those-
just wanted to make sure I understood moving into our conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our decision, it's our, but whatever.
So we needed a starting point somewhere, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so that first step, the second, and I just want to get this clear so we have it, we're not figuring it out as we go. What I noticed in previous meetings too is with the recusals, if they're within the sort of top rankings, if anybody needed to recuse themselves, we dealt with those first. And then we took a vote depending on the funding. And then we brought back the non-recusals, dealt with those, did not take a vote. And then we brought the recusals, or dealt with the recusals again, took a vote for those, and then we moved on to the next group. So does that seem like?
Can I restate that maybe? Yeah. And I also have an observation too. So, yeah, since we have three different buckets, if you will, we have the one-time strategic, missional operational support, and then the small requests. And so, yeah, I think in the past we've tried to make sure each of the top scoring applications in each 3 buckets, we kind of did some consideration before we went through the whole list of everyone and used up all the
Yes.
money, so to speak.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of along the lines of, yeah. And then we have to factor in we have to factor in the recusals as appropriate.
Exactly.
One observation, though, so I would support doing that same approach. One observation I have is that I guess on none of the categories, the average recommended or average proposed funding is 100%, which is interesting, because I don't know how close we were from past years, but that is, I think, something as we, I know our staff has their computer ready to do some calculations on the fly, because I think that's part of the whole approach here is, what's in our budget and what are we giving and what's left, kind of thing.
And we may also want just to keep in mind generally of the fluidity of the amounts and the percentage we want to, I don't want to say, to utilize for each bucket. And just take that into consideration. It might not be a clear third
Exactly,
across
yeah.
all 3. So,
Right.
and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that process seems to work. And then, just as the staff had noted, I would suggest a roll call vote for everything that we do. And then also, when you need to recuse yourself, to state your name, and then also say whether you have a potential conflict or a conflict of interest. And so if we go by those, I think we should hopefully be nice and smooth.
Can I just ask for clarification? Do we need to say the reason why?
Yes, you should
Okay.
state the reason why
Thank you.
in very, very simple, plain terms.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Well, shall we begin? So I think we've already established those percentages. Shall we start with the strategic one-time grants?
I think I need to leave as you guys discuss this one. I'm recusing myself with regard to the Placer SPCA. I'm a volunteer there.
All right, shall we begin? Anybody have thoughts?
Yeah, I think part of the reason the percentages are all off is because we do,
Average.
commissioners are making recommendations, and I know what mine were, but I don't know what everybody else's. But that's kind of why none of them are recommended at full funding. But I think that the percentages here are high enough that I would be okay with doing full award for all of those in the strategic one-time grants, because that was one of the ones that council had looked to use seed money to be able to do something new, innovative within the nonprofits that they might not do under their normal practices, something new. And I think all of those proposals met that criteria in regards to something new, something innovative, a new approach to working with their population. So I would be okay with just full funding all of those in that priority group.
I would agree with that, with the exception of the robotics one. That
Can I-
one, sorry, go ahead.
Can I, we're dealing specifically with the SPCA though, right? 'Cause
No, the entire group, of the 4 proposals that were, the 4 agencies that were part of that, so all 4 of those.
Okay, but I'm hesitant to talk about
Yeah.
something if the other commissioner isn't here, those ones that she hasn't recused
Oh.
herself of. So if we can just speak specifically to the SPCA.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How
you're
about
still
full
that.
funding? Recommend full funding for that one, and then we could bring Commissioner Carroll back in to talk about the remainder of them?
Perfect.
Are we all in?
And try to avoid continued conversation on that specific one when you talk about full funding relative to that category when she's back in the room.
So
Okay, we'll figure it out.
do we need to take roll call on that? On
Well,
that
we can
one?
either go motion by motion, or you could wait till the end, and then we could craft all the motions and try to do it at that time.
If they
Well,
make the motion now, it'd be easier if you make the motion for this one now, and I'll document it, and then we'll do roll call on this, we'll bring her back, and then we could discuss the other three.
I move that Placer County Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals get full funding of the requested $50,000 that was requested.
The conversation complete.
Or do we need?
Okay, because
Public
I did have a
comment.
comment. I did. So, sorry. So, and maybe somebody can explain this to me, because from my understanding, they have to spend the funds correctly for the year. So if they have to spend the funds within a certain period of time, and if they can't spend the funds, then they have to give the money back. When I went through that particular application, I couldn't see a time at which they would be spending the funds during the time frame. Maybe I missed something. I don't know if that's the case. So we fund that, and then they'll have to give the money back. That's money that could have gone to somebody else. So unless I read it wrong, I didn't see a reason to fund them if they couldn't spend the money in the allotted time, if I understood the rules of our situation correctly.
I did not pick that up.
Okay.
I didn't pick
But it
that
is a
up.
long-term project that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember
Their
correctly.
proposals were specifically, that were attached, were specifically for this $50,000.
Right.
They had the 3 different bids for those specific pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and they outlined that this was carved out for that, and then they were fundraising for other pieces of the
Right.
rest of that project.
But then would they be spending that money within that time frame? So it's carved out for that particular piece of the project, but would then that money be spent in the time frame that we have, which is what, June of 2025, I think it is?
I would gather, and I don't remember off the top of my head, Placer SPCA has applied for grants before, so they're familiar with the procedures. I would anticipate, as best as you can with a capital improvement project, thank you, that they're going to do everything they can to make sure that that any monies they get from the commission or council are going to be spent within the time frame. I didn't have a concern from that. I had other concerns, but that was not one of them
Okay.
as far as when I read the application.
Got it, okay. All right, well then, is there a motion? Would you restate your motion, please?
I move that Placer County Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals receive the full funding for the grant application for $50,000.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Heather, will you please call the rolls?
Oh, well. We're getting there.
Sorry.
Comment, sorry, my bad. We need public comment. Is there anybody who would like to provide comment? I apologize for forgetting that. Since there's no comment, Heather, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Yes.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Yes.
Vice Chair Parker?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, I know. We are now to the remaining 3. Any conversation regarding that? We're good?
Commissioner Costa, I think, was going to be.
Yeah, I had, so I would agree with Commissioner Quist about fully funding all of them. The exception that I had was I did not rank the robotics Spark program as high on this one because I didn't feel like they were as clear as they could have been with what they were going to do with that funding. They didn't clearly describe their partners and a lot of their program depended upon that partnership to be able to get into those different places. It wasn't clear which population they were going to be working with and whether or not that population that they did identify was going to be there for the full length of their program. So that one wasn't as clear to me, so I didn't have that one ranked as high. I gave them partial funding for that. So that's when I'm looking at the full scope of all of our options and looking at denying someone else funding versus to fully fund them, I would have concerns about that.
And I also want to agree with Commissioner Acosta. I had similar concerns, and I too did not fully fund them, although I only funded 3. But anyway, I would be okay with fully funding Spanger Elementary, PTC, for all the reasons that we've already discussed, even though I may not have considered funding in the past, so.
I also had problems with Placer Advanced Robotics and Technology. I think my concern was that their funding was strictly coming from us. It didn't look like they had indicated any funding from any place else, and we're kind of clear about that fact. So I also didn't rank them as high, and I tend to agree with you in terms of, if there's somebody else who would get full funding over them, then that would be the case. That being said, I want to make sure I'm keeping proper lists. So we are not voting on these right now. We'll hold off on these, correct? Did I understand our process? Just making clear our process?
It's up to us.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can. If there's
Yeah, we can.
agreement, we certainly can.
We can agree.
And then Heather, you'll provide us with the remaining funds that we can play with for the rest of the other 2 categories.
So
Yeah, okay.
we're going to try something out this time that we're going to go live with that. So as you guys are talking on your screens and up top there, you'll see that I kind of will keep track of the running total so you guys can see where you're at. We're going to try to get up on our technology here, so bear with me.
Just a flash.
So if I'm understanding the discussion, we're looking at putting a pin in the Placer Advanced for partial funding depending on the rankings of the other 2 categories, and full funding Youth for Christ and Spanger.
As I understand it, I think we're all pretty much in agreement to fully fund Youth for Christ and Spanger Elementary, but then also in agreement about taking a vote for partially funding the robotics, unless anybody is feeling very.
I would say that if we're looking at partial funding, that we would just hold off on
Okay.
the robotics at this time to see where we land with the other 2 categories funding-wise.
Okay.
But I'm okay with putting forward a motion to do the full funding for the other 2 if the commission is in agreement with that.
Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, so I move that we would fully fund Youth for Christ Sacramento and Spanger Elementary Parent-Teacher Club out of the one-time strategic grants.
Is there a second?
Let's do public
Oh,
comment. too.
public comment, sorry. Is there public comment? Yes, please.
Hello, Council. I'm Ed Kesmerick. I'm the Executive Director of Youth for Christ Sacramento. How are you tonight? My colleague, Amber Pexa, she works with our Campus Life outreach. I just want to thank you for deliberating to consider funding our programs. What we've recognized more and more is that as kids are connected, their mental health improves. And what we do is everything about connection. It's all the programs that we're offering for funding is helping Roseville kids come together and connect with one another and connect with adults who care about them. And so again, I'll keep it short and sweet. Maybe you don't hear thank you enough, but thank you for considering funding our projects.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is Vanessa Fauborg. I'm a teacher at Spanger Elementary and also on our PTC board. We just want to say thank you for considering this. It would be a huge thing for our school, for our students. As a teacher firsthand, I've noticed just getting them out in our school garden, seeing how much it benefits them being outside, learning outside. So we just want to say thank you so much for considering this for us.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, well, I'm closing public comment. Heather, will you call the roll? We have motions already, right? Yep.
We still needed a second.
Oh, we need a
We
second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Heather, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
Vice Chair Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
do we, if anybody is adverse to this, because I think this will be better, can we move to the small requests first? Okay, great, perfect. Okay. Let's deal with the,
Sorry, can we
Yeah.
pause and see about the live, where we would be at now?
Yes.
I think that might be helpful.
Can we have the screen to show where we're at?
okay.
So you guys, whoops, sorry. You're at 538, 170.
Actually, no, I think it's just for the ones that we took action on.
Yeah, we're 4.
Three.
It's 83,001.
3,100 is what you've funded so far. Let's see, make sure my math is correct. It's 50,000, 18,4, and 14,7. You guys are, pot was 621,270, now you've got $538,170.
Okay, I got it.
Sorry.
I see now. Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's start with the lost but not forgotten. If there's anybody who needs to recuse themselves.
I need to recuse myself. Dawn Haywood. I have a personal relationship with a couple people on the board.
Commissioner Meeks Harris, I'm recusing myself because the person who's in contact, I'm currently going through, it's not working, but I'm currently going through Leadership Roseville right now, and I'm the classmate of that individual.
I have a point of clarification. If I wanted to make a motion or discuss some in this category that weren't that one, they really didn't need to leave right now. So,
But we're not on that. We're going to do the recusals now.
right, but are we trying to determine whether we do or don't want to fund that one? Is that all we would be? Okay.
Just like we did the last.
Well, I wasn't here for the last one. But I was going to make a proposal for
Yes.
something that didn't involve that one.
Yeah,
but,
it-
I'm sorry. We'll deal specifically with this one
Okay.
first, and then when we bring the other two back, we'll deal with the other remaining.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you have, well, no, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
want to talk about it because they should be able to
Absolutely.
participate in that other
On
discussion.
the
It just
other
felt-
ones, right?
Yes, it
So-
just felt the timing was a little out of order because we're jumping to the,
And if we're going to discuss the entire group, it's going to be very difficult for the next group because I think
and I wasn't.
everybody has a
right.
recusal.
I wasn't necessarily proposing talking about the full group right now. I was, but let's
She
talk
just
about
wasn't
this
here
one.
for the last one, so she was confused, right?
No, I mean, I just think we had a way to deal with it in a way that wouldn't have necessarily, but we're on that one, so let's talk specifically about that one.
Okay. Anybody thoughts?
On lost but not forgotten?
Mhm.
Well, go back to my notes. So, and again, this is kind of discussing all of them together, but that bright line that I was talking about kind of falls in between 3 and 4.
And that's what I wanted to discuss, but I don't think we can do that
So-
while they're out.
No, but what we can discuss is not
Should we fully
providing,
fund
not
or
providing
fund?
funding at all for lost but not forgotten as one of the last ones in this category, and then make that decision, then come back and talk about the remainder of them.
What I'm getting from what you said, and you may not have said it quite the same way, is that, yeah, I don't think we need to talk about that one before we talk about the top in the category.
Okay.
So, and then I'm tempted to say, we probably would have agreement on the top in this category, and then we could move to something else similarly, so we kind of work out what's remaining from the lower prioritized. not
So you want to
prioritized,
bring her back?
Both.
Well, and we'll talk to our attorney, we can, so you don't want to make a decision yet on lost but not forgotten.
I mean, it feels like rather than saying, no, we will not fund them at all, we should basically say, right now, they're not highest ranked, so we could kind of put them aside like we did with the other
So
group.
we'll only talk about the first 3, with
Yeah.
commissioners in the room, make that decision, and then
We'll come back to
Send
the
it back
others
out.
after we do the last
Perfect.
category.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
is that
then,
appropriate?
The order is entirely up to you.
yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't want to spend the time on the lowest ranked. I mean,
Agreed.
I just-
No,
yeah,
agreed.
that's fine. So can you please, thank you. That's my fault. I actually didn't follow, I had actually proposed initially that we, never mind. I didn't even
Okay.
follow my proposal.
That's all
So
right.
that's fine.
Continuous improvement.
Who gets to tell these commissioners that we didn't do anything when they were gone?
Well, I would, yeah, that's all right. You just did.
We just readjusted our
Clarified,
process,
yeah.
actually, because there's no point in talking about a last one if we haven't talked about the first ones first,
Right.
so.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was
Yeah.
odd that we
No,
did
no,
it that way, but I was
as
like,
your-
I'll do what I said.
I screwed up, so that's my fault.
It's kind of all new for all of us.
So let's talk about the top ones, or let's go through this, and let's open it up for discussion. In this case, we have the Pedal Connection, Roseville Historic Society, Placer Community Foundation, Oakmont Parents Club, Life Skills Training Educational Programs, Inc. So,
I want to make a general comment about Pedal Connection.
okay.
I had some concerns. Couple of things. I'm still not seeing the numbers in terms of specifically the number of Roseville residents. This is the third or fourth year running where we've asked for that, and it hasn't been in the application. I'm also concerned because the project is based on a property that is not within the city limits of Roseville. Now, I know that that's not necessarily a be-all, end-all to us deciding to fund them. However, and I know that the property is used to grow the flowers that they bring into Roseville to create the bouquets that are then delivered to people in Placer County, in some amorphous number of people here in Roseville. I know in the past we've seen a very close connection to the Meals on Wheels and an emphasis on that. I didn't see that with this. And I do know we have recommended funding for a number of years with this organization. I will defer to the rest of council, but I'm not sure myself I could support fully funding this particular application.
Well, I think that based on the rankings we have on the bias, I think that other commissioners have disagreed with that position. And again, it's very difficult to make recommendations, very difficult to look at all these proposals. You look at all the information, but, I try to make sure that we're doing a little bit of everything. This is providing a need to sometime a forgotten element of our society. We feed there's a lot of people that are being fed. There's a lot of mental health issues that are going on, arts, education. It's nice to kind of spread it around, but this is one of the ones that I thought they were just doing a good job of meeting the needs of a forgotten group that is really being served in other areas, but this is kind of that little extra piece. So, as far as the numbers of those in Roseville versus in Placer County, flowers are grown in Placer County and brought into Roseville.
And I don't disagree that what they do is appropriate for this grant. I'm just concerned from the stewardship as a commissioner and the stewardship, and we've been tasked by the commission to be good stewards. I mean, that's part of the reason the needs assessment, and I just don't think in good conscience I could recommend fully funding for the reasons I've already explained.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. I was trying to go back to the application. I mean, they work with different locations, and I wonder, this is a question for you guys, if we could stipulate, if we did fund them, that they would go to locations in Roseville.
No, I don't think that we have
So-
the ability to control that through our grant agreement. We can say, though, that for everybody that's on the list that's being considered tonight, they at least met the baseline eligibility to be considered tonight for grant funding. But now, if you feel differently about the quality of application and whether or not you think that they met what you feel like is sufficient for funding, is a different story.
I mean, we can't fund everyone. We don't have the budget for that. So I think, if there's a concern about it not going to the Roseville residents, which we know this year with ARPA funds and other changes, it's gotten narrower. I want to be able to address that. I mean, they just say the bulk of the requests go to Roseville. I don't think our funds, I'd have to double check, but I don't think our funds are the sole funding for these projects. And I know many other organizations did that too. It's like our program costs, I'm just going to make up a number, $10,000, but you're providing $4,000 and the bulk of our services are going to Roseville residents, therefore, and some of them even used formulas to ensure it was, Roseville money going to Roseville residents. Does that feel like that would?
I mean, obviously the rankings, took into consideration where I rank them, and my funding recommendations or not. I'm one vote. So it's really, they are placed at the top. And that means that there are a majority of you that feel it's appropriate to fund them. I don't have to say yes.
In their application, didn't they have their office facilities and all of that in the city of Roseville? Their refrigeration, their preparation, all of that, and the majority of their volunteers were also in Roseville.
But this particular grant is to rehab a property in Placer County.
To grow flowers.
A specific property,
And then,
yeah.
Okay.
I believe our youth commissioner might be trying to jump in there, but we're.
I also, when I ranked this application, I had it in the lower end of the other ones for the same reason, because when I was reading the application, I was thinking more of the funds are meant to go stay in Roseville and benefit Roseville residents, and I think that's their intention, it's to help everyone, especially in Roseville. But I tended to rank people the applications with a thought of is it based in Roseville, or more of if the location because am I allowed to say this? I don't know. Because some applications were more of because there was a question to ensure if the people who get the funds are going to Roseville, and a lot of them talked about getting the location of each of their clients and stuff. But I looked more on where was it going to be at, compared to the whole general idea.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair point. I think we had in our information, even if the organization is based somewhere else, we want the services to be provided to Roseville residents. So I guess the location of where they're getting the flowers isn't as much of a concern for me, knowing that the flowers are going to people in our area. So I don't know if others have thoughts.
So I could propose a motion, or do we want to do public comment prior to?
We have two more to talk about.
We have,
Do we want to discuss more?
so we have options, okay? I think that we can go through each and discuss, and then we could take a vote. So for example, obviously there's not probably, I feel like there might be different votes for these things, right? So we could take a vote initially on this one, or we can go through each, and then, if we want to take a vote, if you'd like to do that, or would you like to wait?
Going to the bright line and the recommendations from them, with the rubric that we have for making the recommendations, having them aggregated and then ranked. I think the top three are and they're the recommendations of this council or this commission, as well as there's kind of a bright line there in regards to the funding. So I would recommend that we do full funding for the first three in this category.
Yeah, and I'm not taking that yet as a motion. I like
Well, that was
idea.
the point of discussion.
No.
yes.
What I was going to say was I like that idea, and then we can, whether we want to discuss the next two or move to the other category and look at their top ones. I feel like that will keep us moving. And if there's enough support for the top three in this group, it feels like that's a good way to continue.
I support fully funding Roseville Historical Society and Placer Community Foundation. I do not support fully funding Pedal Connection.
Yeah. In which case, exactly. So let's take a separate vote. Let's, if there's a motion on the pedal connection, anybody have a motion?
Make sure we take public comment.
Yeah, that's,
After we do a motion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's nothing to
Okay.
comment on just yet. Yeah, I mean, so we don't want to do them as a group. I move that we support fully funding the pedal connection.
Is there public comment?
do we need to second that? I'll second that.
He wants the public comment before the second.
For the second?
Public comment before we vote.
Yeah. So there's no public comment. Do we have a motion and a second? Heather, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Acosta,
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll,
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood,
No.
Commissioner Kriz,
Yes.
Commissioner Meeks Harris,
Aye.
and Chair Parker.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so Roseville Historical Society, is there any
I-
conversation?
Well, I would like to move that we fully fund the next two groups, the Roseville Historical Society and the Placer Community Foundation, on the basis of our ranking and the funding requested within, I feel like, our budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there public comment? You made a motion, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Is
Motion and,
Oh, I'll second.
Okay.
Sorry.
there public comment?
We need an index card, Jonathan.
So second before public comment is what you want?
How would,
Included and everybody knows reasonably well what you're going to be considering for your motion. You can take public comment and then make your motion.
okay.
Okay.
take public
done it
comment,
both
then
ways
take the
over the
motion.
years.
Okay.
So is there public comment? No public comment? Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. And this is to fully fund number 2 and 3, Roseville Historical Society and Placer Community Foundation. Commissioner Acosta? Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris? And Vice Chair Parker? Thank you.
And then I'd recommend we move to another category, and then we can work out the remaining ones in this one.
Okay.
I would recommend that we talk about some sort of rubric before we do the recusals.
Okay.
Because it looks like if we're going by looking at the bright line, as Commissioner Chris keeps saying,
Natural.
we're going to have quite a few recusals in that.
Yeah.
And so we should probably discuss our plan for that.
Would the top 5 seem like a natural break?
Recusal in the top 5.
No.
No.
Top four.
And blue line?
Yeah, the
Oh,
top
that's
four.
6. Thank you.
No.
No, 5 is blue line.
5 is blue line.
No, the top four would be the ones we could discuss without any recusals.
Correct.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's quite all right.
I do have concerns with that, though, because, I mean, even though we have the rankings, we do have percentage requesting
Correct.
funding. We've got
Different.
higher ones, so we've got lower and mid. So I would even propose we could draw it lower, but
Yeah,
we have recusals again.
Agreed. I had 2 comments on that. One is by reaching agreement at the top doesn't mean we couldn't continue to fully fund further down. It's just kind of finding agreement where we have it and without recusals for those groups. And secondly, I would say, there is a balance between the ranking and the percent recommended funding. So I'm not sure how we balance it, but I don't know that one drives the other completely.
Well, and I think we still have a large pool of money too, so we don't have to draw the line super high. I'll throw that out there, that we have a lot more flexibility. The money is going to go a lot further than maybe we think it is in this particular moment.
So shall we draw the
You do
line?
have to say no at some point.
No, I know that.
Good
I
part,
know
yeah.
that, but
Shall we draw the line at, say, the last A Touch of Understanding, which is 10, ranked 10? Should we do that, or would you like to go lower?
I don't think we need to do that just yet, because we'll have to have recusals for those other groups. I mean.
That's correct.
Could we work with the first 4?
Sure.
To make some decisions before we get into the recusals, and then work on the fine line of fully fund or partial fund?
And just a reminder, you guys do have 2 number 6s, so you guys will have to.
Right.
So that actually is 11.
One of them has a recusal and the other one does not.
no, they both have recusals.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they don't. No,
no, that's fine.
just,
Oh, it is hard to
I'm
see.
having a hard time with it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
wow.
did okay with blue line, but then not with the.
It's the color all the way across the row.
No,
Right,
it's
so
just me.
let's do the first four. Let's do the ranking for the first four.
I would propose, I mean, I think where we are with our budget funds and knowing that they're the top four, so there are no recusals in that group, I would propose fully funding the first four groups. And I don't need to make it a motion if we want to talk about it unless there's agreement, in which case we want to maybe get public comment.
Is there any discussion? Sorry.
I think I would agree with that. My concern is the percentage of funding compared to some of the others that ranked lower but had higher percentage of funding. So I'd like to hear from my other commissioners about where they ranked number 4 in order to kind of go through that. Because like, we have some that were given a much higher percentage of funding, even though they ranked lower overall. I know, it's rough.
Yeah, I would say for me, the number 4 on here, I keep wanting to say, yeah, it is, right? Gigi's is
Yes.
number 4? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know why my eyes are not going across. I'm going to have to use this piece of paper and make sure. They were not as high as 4 for me, but I have no, given that we're trying to, work with a group and we all have different perspectives, I have no concerns about fully funding them as one that was in the top 4.
And for me too, they were not high on my ranking, but because respecting the other commissioners' viewpoint on that, I would
Right.
go along with that.
Yeah, I think they were higher for me. I don't remember exactly where, but I would be okay with fully funding them without reservation there.
They were high on mine as well. I just wanted to make sure, because I was looking at the percentage, I wanted to make sure that we had that discussion, because we had others that were not as high in the ranking, but had a much higher percentage of funding.
We'll get to them.
I know. I know, I just wanted to make sure that we
Yeah,
had
yeah,
that
yeah.
opportunity.
And I have a general comment. Nothing in here has our youth commissioner scores reflected, right?
Correct.
So I don't know, Bea, if you have any.
Yeah, I ranked Gigi's Playhouse as 6th, so it's pretty high.
Oh, pretty high, yeah. Okay.
All right, well,
So do you want to name the 4 and see if we have any public comment on the
Yes.
top 4 that we're in discussions with now?
And they
so
can
the
see 'em.
top 4 are the Tommy Apostolos Fund, Child Advocates of Placer County, Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center, and Gigi's Playhouse. Did I say that wrong?
okay.
That's all right. I've never said it out loud. So Apostolos. I apologize. Is there public comment? Yes.
Gary?
Good evening. Gary McDonald, Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center Executive Director. There's not a motion yet, is that correct?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to say that this has been a particularly difficult year for Lighthouse. The level of trauma in children and families has been unbelievably high, and we've lost a couple of children in Placer County due to suicide, and there's been a number of attempts as well. This is continuing, and there's been some significant changes with Medi-Cal. I'm not sure if you're familiar with CalAIM, but a lot of the money that was coming to Lighthouse and other nonprofits, especially with mental health counseling, using the MHSA, Mental Health
Services Act.
It's been a long day. I forget what MHA stands for, Mental Health Services Act. Now, with Prop 1 passing, a lot of this money is being controlled by the state instead of the counties, and we've lost about $600,000 of funding with MHSA, which was our most flexible money. So through January, we've lost about $400,000 this fiscal year, which began July 1. So this money is very, very important to us. We do have a plan. We hired a consultant. We're going to be adding a whole bunch of new programs. So we're looking at a significant expansion since we've had a major reduction. And so we've nearly doubled our billable rates with Medi-Cal, and we're also adding enhanced care management, community supports, public health workers, wellness coaches, And there's other categories I can't even remember that, again, we're using this consultant to build them to Medi-Cal. So we have a route to get back to profitability. It'll be a number of months before that occurs. But this is especially significant and important this fiscal year. So I appreciate your consideration and your ongoing support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Nicole Harrigan. I'm board president for Gigi's Playhouse. And I just wanted to thank you all for considering our funding request. We, at Gigi's Playhouse, we give everything away for free. All of our programs are free to all of our participants and their families. We believe that cost should never be a barrier for achievement. Our demand for our programs has gone up exponentially in the 3 years since we've opened, and we rely heavily on grants and donations, so we're very grateful for your consideration of our request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, I'll close public comment. Is there a motion?
I move to fully fund the Tommy Apostolos Fund, Child Advocates of Placer County, and Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center, and Gigi's Playhouse, Inc.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second that motion.
Great. Heather, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll? Aye. Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, given our line of demarcation,
Can we check where we're at funding-wise?
that'd be great. Let me check where we are.
It's just funded 187,027, 187,027. So your total right now that you have fully funded is 294,627.
That was quick.
That was quick.
I've never spent that kind of money that quickly.
You bought a house.
$126,000 left.
Mortgage. That was not one fell swoop.
Okay, so given what is our bright line here, do we want to take up St. Vincent de Paul and then go to our recusals, or shall we
I don't
start
think
with the
we
recusals?
can do St. Vincent without doing the Assistance League because they're tied.
That's
Very
it.
close in percentage.
Got it. Okay, so,
I have no problem pulling that one off and discussing it on its own, since we don't have any recusals for it, though.
They were recusal. I think that's why.
does any,
Or do we just want to start chomping down and just do Blue Line by itself?
we can do that. That,
And so that is
Someone will need
I think we
to
can do that.
Commissioner,
okay, so let's start with Blue Line Arts. Do we have anybody who needs to recuse themselves? Okay.
Commissioner Meeks Harris, and one of the contacts with this organization is in my leadership class, leadership Roseville class. So.
We're going to hear that again tonight.
It ends in June.
I would say, and I'd have to double check on my list, even though they weren't as high rated, I mean, I rated them high, but not as high as this, given again the group, I have no problem fully funding them, both in the ranking and in the percent recommended funds seemed
Agreed.
reasonable.
I agree as well.
was that a motion?
It wasn't, but it could be.
Confused again.
But it could be.
So if
Are
there's
you
no more-
supportive of fully funding?
I am supportive of that, yes.
Okay,
I
great.
had them high, and it kind of, this is part of the arts, and, yeah, spreading it around.
So then I'd like to open it to public comment.
Hello, my name is Mary Tess, Executive Director at Blue Line Arts. Thank you so much for considering our grant. Blue Line Arts has been facilitating this program for over the past decade, and we are the only arts organization in Greater Placer County that even offers this high-quality arts education experience. And to have it for free for Title I students in this area is so valuable, and yeah, thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Any more public comment? Okay, great. I'll close it, and I will entertain a motion.
I will move full funding for Blue Line Arts based on the application that they submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. To fully fund Blue Line Arts for $25,000, Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker?
Aye.
And, okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll move down the line to Assistance League of Greater Placer, and I need to recuse myself, Commissioner Parker, because I am a member of the Assistance League. So I'll leave it to you.
Don Haywood will take over as acting chair until, as we discuss this one. We'll wait for Commissioner Parker to leave. All right, open up for discussion. Their percentage is low, but their rank is high.
I had them high ranked.
I don't remember where I ranked them. But I'm, I'm flexible. I don't have strong opinions on this one.
I thought they did a good explanation about what they did with the funds, how they selected Roseville residents, what they provide, and they demonstrated the need.
Yeah, I'm sure I had them ranked pretty high too. Thank you for reminding me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had them ranked up there. I mean, for the impact they're having in the community. One in my top, but I think they're doing some good work. So.
Did you have any?
I would recommend full funding on this, as they're kind of over our bright line, unless somebody else, we have some additional discussion.
I rank them pretty high too, so I would agree.
Okay. So
Anybody else?
Where are we at?
Oh.
Are we going to move, or public comment, or?
Wanted to see if there's any other.
Yeah, we're just waiting for, no? Okay.
No.
So we can open for public comment.
Yeah.
I'll open for public comment. Seeing none,
Well, actually.
I see her. I saw her as I was saying it. I saw you move. So thank you, everyone.
I'm VP of Resource Development this year, and I just want to thank you very much for considering us. We're all volunteers. None of us get paid.
Thank you. Anyone else? I can't multitask. All right, close public comment, and I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to fully fund the Assistance League of Greater Placer.
I second.
Heather, can you do roll call, please?
A fully fund the Assistance League of Greater Placer for $25,000. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
That's it.
Just so you guys know, you're at 344,627.
Okay, thank you. So let's take up St. Vincent de Paul Society. Are there any comments regarding that? Any discussion?
They were way up there when I was doing the ranking based on the impact that they're having in the community and a variety of collaborators that they have that are helping implement the programs.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, all good? All right, is there any public comment? All right, well, there's no public comment, so I'd entertain a motion.
I will move to full funding for St. Vincent de Paul for the food locker program for a total of $30,000. That'd be full funding.
I'll second.
All right, Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Okay, fully fund St. Vincent de Paul for $30,000. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Chris?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Seniors First.
We have a recusal.
A recusal.
Yes, I am recusing myself, but it's not for Leadership Roseville. I'm actually on the commission. I'm sorry, me and the mic are not having a good night here. I don't know if it's my voice or how it's angled here. But just to mention, I am a member of the Older Adults Advisory Commission for the Placer County. And Seniors First is one of the first organizations that I actually have used them as a consulting basis for some of our ongoing projects.
Okay, given that, keep going back and forth on this, because I too am a member of the Older Adults Advisory Commission. So I think I probably should recuse myself.
Are you involved in the contracting or?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I think in this instance, it's really the avoidance of the potential
Okay,
or the appearance of a conflict.
okay,
So I leave it to you
okay.
if you think appearance-wise you'd prefer to recuse yourself or.
Well, I think probably appearance-wise, I should probably do so. All right, so Commissioner Haywood, would you please?
I got it.
Great, thank you.
I'll open for discussion.
Okay.
I am good with fully funding them. I think that they are meeting an unmet need. I think it's a critical need right now. And I would support fully funding them.
I thought it was a well-written application.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, looking at I had them lower in on my ranking with all the rest of them that were in there, but yeah, all of these proposals have a great need in the community.
Bea?
Yeah, I think they should get fully funded, in my opinion, because it's like the reason, like their project is like their transportation. I really think that's important, so.
All right, I'll open for public comment. Okay, I think I'm safe. I'm going to close public comment, and I'll entertain a motion.
Else finish that? Okay. I move to fully fund Seniors First.
Second.
Heather, can you have roll call, please?
So we have a motion from Commissioner Acosta, and a second from Commissioner Carroll to fully fund Seniors First for $30,000. Commissioner Acosta? Aye. Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Chris?
No.
I'm going to do an updated total, and then I will.
Okay.
394, 627.
So far you guys have funded 404,627. So you got 216,643 left.
216,000 left, roughly.
16,643.
Right. if we're going to keep going down, because we got a bunch of recusals here, I have a potential conflict, but to avoid any appearance, I would like to recuse myself. I'm affiliated with one of this organization's 2 locations, and I'm somewhat affiliated with a competing program. So I feel like it's better to just avoid it.
And that's for the Royal Stage Performing and Visual Arts?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'd like to open comment and discussion.
I had this group organization high on my list, so I would be in support of fully funding them.
Okay.
Likewise, yeah, it was the work that they're doing and opportunities they're providing for kids, yeah.
Okay, so I think I read through the application like a couple times, and I think I had a hard time deciphering between what was the program and what was the group, and maybe there wasn't a difference. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not adverse to fully funding them either. I just had I guess maybe just to comment that I was a little slightly confused on exactly what the program, not what the program did, but the difference between the program and the agency. Anyways, so I just want to throw that out there for like future people writing their grants. Anyways, so is there public comment? All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to fully fund Royal Stage Performing and Visual Arts.
I will second that motion.
Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Okay, so Commissioner Haywood made a motion to fully fund Royal Stage Performing and Visual Arts for $15,000, and Commissioner Chris seconded. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Hi.
Chris?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is wellness within, and I will need to, I'm sorry.
We got to get,
On the recusal list?
Yeah. I don't think so, no.
For wellness?
it's only Commissioner. Oh,
Youth Commissioner.
Commissioner is the only one that's on this one.
Commissioner and,
Oh, and me. And me. So for the wellness within, that's our next one, and I need to recuse myself because I am friends with one of the folks that showed up on their personnel list, and so I think it would be best for me to recuse myself. And then are there any others?
I need to recuse myself. Did I say my name? I'm Bea, you need that, and I need to recuse myself because of personal reasons.
Okay.
Getting more than you expected.
No, well, maybe one more than I expected, but it's all good. It's been a while since I've done this. So I'll open up for Commissioner comments on this, the funding recommendation for this organization.
I would recommend fully funding in part based on their percentage recommended is pretty high when you look at the rest of the group we're at. I feel like they provide a pretty unique service that definitely benefits a broad group of people, Roseville specific, as well as even, just a good group to begin with as far as what they're doing and the service they're providing. So I would recommend fully funding, but I don't know what others.
I would agree. I think they were high on my list as far as funding.
I know they weren't as high as years past for me, but I agree. I mean, what they do is unique, especially, they provide a great wraparound service and opportunities for connection and growth and recovery and healing.
Okay,
Public comment. All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment and entertain a motion.
I move we fully fund wellness within for $28,500.
I second that.
Are you ready for roll call?
Yes,
Awesome.
fully fund wellness within cancer support services. Motion by Commissioner Carroll, seconded by Commissioner Meeks Harris. A roll call, Commissioner Acosta,
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll, Commissioner Haywood,
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz,
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
Up and down. And you guys are at 448,127, so 448,127, with a remaining of 173,143.
Okay.
I have the next recusal, however. I would like to, at some point, rather than keep going down the row.
Yes.
Hit our bright line, so we should probably go back. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't.
Well, I wasn't
interrupt.
even, okay, I was actually, there are a couple groups still in this category that I think are worthy of discussing. So I don't know how we want to handle that. I'm happy to go out if we want to do the next one, which is a touch of understanding, but I guess I'm lobbying for it. Maybe after we do that, then maybe we could, rather than going one by one, we could.
That was
So-
kind of my hope, too. I
Okay.
just wanted to get through these particular
okay.
recusals first.
Okay, I am recusing from a touch of understanding. I'm a volunteer there.
Well, I'd like to open up to comment.
So I didn't have them ranked as high. They had, in their proposal, they had some stories that were good, but it was not clear to me what their distinguishing program was and how it was impacting the city of Roseville, and how it was impacting the students. It also wasn't clear how students were selected to participate, and what that whole process was. So I just didn't think that their application was very clear with explaining how they do things, how they determined which schools they were going to, which ones they were not, and then what the actual overall impact was as a result of the programming.
I'll just add a little context, knowing my kids both were in the they both experienced the program, and it's usually, I know at least at their elementary school, it was the PTC that will reach out and pay the touch of understanding to bring the speakers to the classroom. It's usually an age group. I think it was second grade, third grade, I don't remember, but that's where it goes. And my kids still talk about it. I mean, they came home and were talking about it for a long time. So, and I did see that in there, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
but again, knowing it.
Yeah,
so that was
without
the
that
difference.
context, I
Yeah,
had to go
exactly.
with what's in the actual application, and it
Right.
wasn't very clear.
Absolutely.
As somebody that hasn't experienced it, yeah.
Right, so looking at my ranking, my recommendation, I would probably,
I
thinking
had
back
them
on the
partial funded.
application, it was lower ranked and a lower award. So I think it's based on the other commissioners' ranking, I think it's a worthy cause, but I would have a difficulty making a recommendation of full funding.
And I believe this year I did rank them lower than in past years for probably because it was unclear in their funding. There may have been some discrepancies in the way the program budget was described, and I had some concerns there. That's my guess. I don't remember, I'm sorry.
I also had them listed slightly lower or ranked slightly lower. I don't know if I necessarily had the exact concerns. I think I did note that I did in my score note that, yeah, the project wasn't as defined as I would have liked. So I would concur
Partial funding?
with partial funding. So,
We'll have to come back to them.
Well,
well,
We don't necessarily have to, because we still have $140,
I
$141,000.
was just, coming back would mean, would
We would
have
need
to
to
bring our commissioner in, we'd have to defer this until a later point. and
Right.
then-
ask her to
yeah.
leave again.
Correct.
And that's fine, but
Okay.
not make a decision on this one at this point, and then come back to that as we deliberate some of the other applications or.
Yeah, like we did with the robotics one in the first
Sure.
category.
All right.
And you guys are at 173, 143.
Okay.
That is left.
We'll hold
That was
off.
only 30,000 off.
Have her come back?
Yes, please.
All right.
Or we could switch seats here, so this one doesn't have a.
You have another chair next to you.
Okay, so at this point, we would like to go back to the smaller categories. And,
Would, or?
No,
right?
the other ones.
Yeah,
Do you
I-
want to do that, or do you want to?
Could either do, well, I think we could,
Because I thought, I was under the impression at this point that we wanted to go back and see, I mean, because now we're winding down in terms of like, are we done with our fully funding folks?
Oh.
Or do we want to like say, we've got Placer Robotics, well, we already agreed that would be, but we do have remaining Oakmont Parents Club and Life Skills.
Yeah, I have more
Know
in the
if there's
big group.
others
Okay.
in the big group that
Okay.
want to fully fund, even though their percentage or their ranking wasn't as high.
Okay.
I would want to discuss those and see if there's any more on this list without a recusal that we want to fully fund.
Perfect.
Before
Okay.
we start looking at partial funding.
all right.
Could we get a, sorry, you might have shared, but I missed it, the update number.
Like 143 left?
So you have 173, 143 left.
Yeah, I was going to make a pitch, I don't know, for the Pride Industries one. They're at 63%. I know there's some others down there that are also similar percentages, so potentially we want to talk about them as a group, I don't know. I just felt like they were a new applicant. I thought the employment service line was, or helpline, was a worthy project. I feel like they did a good job with their grant application, as I recall, saying, you know, this is how we came up with this number to make sure it was specific to Roseville, even though it benefits broader, you know, their service benefits more people. They're not asking for a lot, comparatively speaking. I just thought there were a number of good things in there that I liked. I don't know whether we feel like we're at the place where we could fully fund or partially fund. I just felt like they deserved a call out to see what we could do.
I agree. I ranked them very high, and recommended fully funding them for all the reasons that Commissioner Ellison already discussed.
Right, I would concur.
The
Commissioner
opposite.
Carroll, sorry, Commissioner.
I am the opposite. I ranked them very low and didn't even partially fund because I didn't feel like they very clearly explained how they help Roseville's residents, going back to the issue that we had earlier with the pedal connection. It's a hotline that serves the entire state. And I thought that they didn't really explain how they would have enough numbers to justify what they're proposing, and that they had said that they've had challenges in the past. So I didn't rank them.
Yeah, I have in my notes, those 4% of Roseville residents. So the request is 4% of the helpline expenses. But again, what I don't have in my notes, and usually I do put that there, was how they were going to do that. So, yeah.
Well, I ranked them lower because I felt like a replication of services, if that makes any sense. Just because you have like California Department of Rehabilitation, you have, I was going to say, there's other groups, like even Sierra College has a program, and I believe neighboring Los Rios has Workability 3. There's so many programs, and 3, and I'm not sure if this is legal to say this, but I believe Pride does have deeper pockets than a lot of our average applicants on this list.
Yeah, this is the first application they've put in a number of years. It's probably, been 5 years at least?
More than that, I've never seen.
You
them
haven't seen
apply.
anybody, so it's
that's
got to be, yeah.
than that, yeah.
So it's got to be like 7 or 8 then. It was when I first came on the commission.
Okay, I don't mean to make a judgment about that.
No, I'm just historical. I've got the historical knowledge.
you.
When I saw them, I was like, oh, I get to see them again. So that's my only point of
But I
bringing it
wouldn't
up.
mind partially, I did recommend partial funding.
And I would just say that, again, they are a large statewide organization. I mean, we look at the context for this funding. If we didn't have the ARPA funding, and we look at the context of what we're trying to do to help our specific community, that means that others that are smaller organizations that do have an impact wouldn't be funded, where this large organization has a lot more ability to get other funding or close that small gap. I know they're not asking for a lot, but they have the ability to close that small gap. But if we look at the other ones that we wouldn't be able to fund, if we fund them, that means there is a local, smaller organization that will not get funding that is making an impact. And I struggled with that, so that's what it came down to. I didn't even partially fund them.
I understand that argument.
And if you look at the percentages, and on Commissioner Acosta's piggybacking on hers, or piggybacking, I'm sorry, you have a 63% percentage of requested funding, lower rank, and you've got 64%, well, you've got another 63 at Compassion Planet with an 11 ranking, or 12,
Yeah.
11. So, and Compassion Planet, again, is local, smaller, clearly serving Roseville with perhaps a bigger impact. So just for context.
Yeah, no, I mean, and maybe this is the break for partial funding, perhaps, and then we can see who falls into that group. And that's fine. I wanted to call them out because, like I said, I hadn't seen them before. I felt like it was a worthy cause. I can totally understand the perspective of it's a smaller amount. A smaller amount goes both ways. On the one hand, it's nice that an organization isn't asking for a huge pot and relying solely on us, but at the same time, if it's a smaller amount, then yeah, maybe if they have other resources to fill that. I also, similar at 64%, Placer Veterans Stand Down. I know we funded them in the past. I think it's a good program. It is a local program. It's a local organization.
And they have the numbers in there.
Yeah.
They were very clearly delineating. And they also delineated what stayed in Roseville, what didn't stay in Roseville, and they clearly marketed that.
Okay.
So
yeah, I don't know, like I said, if we're at the partial funding point now and we want to put multiple organizations in that group and see what we have. I know we have one more recusal there in that potential, at least.
Okay, well,
I think we have enough funding left that we can still fully fund several, the ones that have the 50 or 60%. So I think we just need to look at which ones we want to discuss, because I think that, because they're not large asks. I think Compassion Planet and the chaplaincy are the two largest out of our, Sierra College. So we have a few that are really large, comparatively speaking, that are gathering, or that are at our 60%.
I would say on the Sierra College one, it is a large ask, and it was a
I agree.
fairly lower percent, let's just say, when we compare.
I would totally agree with partially funding. I just was proposing to look at our 60%ers and see if we want to fully fund any of those, and then go from there about the partial funding after that. Because those 60%ers are also ranked within the top 15, or the top 20. I saw that last
so
one.
if that's the case, then up next.
Or we could transition to partial funding and then
I just want to go back to your initial comment of we want to fully fund as many as we possibly
Yes,
can.
yes, that was
And
kind
since
of
we
the
have
direction
some-
from the city council.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are in the 60% range in terms of funding, and they're
can't
all
talk
in the
about
top
one of them.
20. We can't do all of them at full funding, but are there any out of those 5 that we want to fully fund? Because not all of them are large asks.
Okay, so
Does that make sense?
I support that, yep.
Okay, so then if we're going to do by percentages, the next step would be the Placer Veterans stand down at 64%. Do we want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Like in terms of full funding? I don't think anybody.
No, we don't have any.
No
No recusals.
Okay.
I would have no problem fully funding them based on their application and what they put in. It is compared to the others that ranked in the 60, it is a smaller ask.
Okay.
And I would support fully funding them for their event.
Okay. So then next up, then, I'm sorry, I need a ruler.
We have 363s.
Yeah, exactly.
And all through, well, the first one is a large ask.
Yes, so let's take it, maybe
Pride we
biggest.
already talked about.
Yeah.
And then we have Wayfinder that we haven't talked about.
Do we want
And
to
that's a smaller ask.
Okay, yeah, let's do smaller first then. So let's talk about Wayfinder.
I think the cause kinship adoption is super
Agreed.
important and valuable.
I actually thought their application was the best that we've seen from them in the years that they've applied. So congrats to all of you for impressing the old hat here. That's a tall task, especially this year. But no. In all seriousness, I've seen what the benefits are of having good foster care and the support. Again, they're another forgotten community, a forgotten population, especially when you've got the grandparents, the family that's raising the family. It's a lot of work, especially if you're aged and you're not well. So I would support fully funding them.
I would agree with everything. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
same, okay. Next up then, do we want to talk about then, I'm sorry.
Do we want
That
to
was
talk?
a recusal.
Well,
The
we've got Compassion Planet. We haven't talked.
Yeah,
about
we haven't talked about Compassion
sorry.
Planet, yeah. So let's talk about Compassion Planet, is there comments?
Again, serving foster youth and aged out, doing the job transition skills. I think it's a local organization. I think it's a good organization. It is a larger ask. They are ranked a little higher than some of those others, so I don't know what other thoughts are.
So I had them kind of ranked last, actually. I was very unclear on how they were going to use the funds specifically for Roseville folks. I was very, very unclear on that. So, and that there was no budget narrative, so, which also furthered my confusion. So, those are my comments.
I had them as partially funded.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
did
it
not
was-
fully fund them.
Right, that was partially funded also.
okay,
Similar reasons to Vice Chair.
okay. All right, so, trying to keep track. If then, that was at 63%.
So do we need to do a motion for Placer Stand Down and Wayfinder? Because we all seem to have, or public comment, and then we all seem to have consensus? Is
Yeah,
that where we're at?
I just wanted to make certain we had gotten all of them, all the 60%ers, did we?
We have one where the
With the
recusal.
exception of
The recusal, okay. And that includes
Do
on the
I need
backside?
to?
Yes.
How?
And I think the other ones weren't within the 60% range. So yeah, so if we want to,
RPAL and do that recusal? Or no? Do we have to do the others first?
I think we should do the others first and then do the recusal. Because they're going to be two separate votes. Okay. So we, at this point, are now talking about fully funding Placer Veterans Stand Down, Wayfinder Family Services, and did I miss one? Yes. No. Nope, that's it. So just the two?
Just the two.
Okay, great. Is there public comment? All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to fully fund Placer Veterans Stand Down and Wayfinder Family Services.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Okay, so we are a motion by Commissioner Acosta and a second by Commissioner Meeks Harris to fully fund Placer Veterans Stand Down for $20,000 and Wayfinder Family Services for $20,000. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll? Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris.
Aye.
Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Thank you.
Then, let's take up the recusal then. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Roseville Police Activities League.
Yes, Commissioner Meeks Harris, I am recusing myself due to RPAL is our Leadership Roseville project.
Oh.
And just so you guys know, you're at 133, 143.
Okay. All right.
To spend.
Is there any comments? I'll open up discussion.
I ranked them low
I think
this
just-
year.
The what?
I ranked them lower this year. Yeah, I didn't find the application was as clear as we've had in the past. I guess we're spoiled. Some of us are spoiled because I see Commissioner Ellison is nodding her head too. So again, they are all worthy causes. We have a large bucket of money. I know the money goes further. I may have recommended funding for this simply because of where they fell, but I do know that they were not as standoutish for me this year with their application.
Okay. I kind of looked at the impact they have in the community and what they do with that population that they serve, and I had them higher on my ranking and with a higher recommendation because it is it's catching the kids early, right, and having an impact on them, right.
I'm in
Youth
this-
Commissioner,
no,
maybe.
sorry,
So, are you familiar with this? You see you nodding over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of rank them in like the relative like high end of the applications, and yeah, I just feel like it was like a good application in my opinion at least.
Okay.
Okay.
And I do know they have a new
Director.
AD, so it's a different feel to the application. Not to diminish the work that they do. It's just when you have to make the choices, you have to be discerning. And my approach this year was very much being a good steward, in terms of the experience I've had and the council's direction and the needs assessment and all of us. So that's where I was.
I brought my pad here so I could get in, but I'm having some trouble. I feel like part of the reason I didn't score them as high is this the one where the only funding was coming from our group?
It could have. I don't know.
I have-
No, I don't think so.
Fundraising events.
Yeah, they
I
have
have
fundraising.
Yeah, they have fundraising, and I listed Placer Arts Council grant in the second section, in one of the sections I list, but my writing is a little mess. I should have been clearer, but.
I remembered there was something different, and I felt like something relating to their funding. The other thing is, it's so hard because some groups I feel like we fund year after year after year.
Yes.
And if they have the potential to do funding in the community, I don't disagree at all. It's a good cause. We want to work with kids from, particularly vulnerable backgrounds that catch them early, like you said, and improve the trajectory. But at the same time, we don't have enough money to fund everything, and there's a balance between groups that we fund consistently every year that could find other funding.
I think you might be right. I think there was something different about the funding, and I don't think they're putting as much. I think they did have a bigger percentage of the grant money going into this program, and they weren't. I think you're right that the fundraising that they were doing wasn't being necessarily funded into this particular program as it may have been in the past.
Yeah, and I think too, just evaluating their services, as I remember, they do a survey pre and post, which is legitimate, but sometimes just saying I liked the program isn't the best way to evaluate the program. I'll just say that.
So is the consensus partial?
I would go with full funding, but I think if we transition to partial funding, I think we can get more of the consensus of the commission here, and it's based on their ranking also.
Okay.
You agree transition?
Did we want to do like we did with the other one and hold off, or should we just do a vote? Okay, let's do a vote. Is there any public comment? Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Daniel Wesp, I'm a supervising deputy district attorney. I've been on the RPAL board now for 11 years. And since I've been there, we've had, our bylaws require a member of the city council to come on. We have 2 of them now. And what I've noticed over the 11 years, they're required to be there, and then they want to stay on because of the work we do. Our summer program is our flagship program. We get membership in RPAL because of attendance in the summer program. We require them to also become a member of RPAL. It's one thing leads to the other. This commission has funded our summer program for many years, and we're very thankful for it, and it keeps us going. RPAL, among summer program, we do get our claws in early. We get to our most vulnerable population with police officers. The major goal of RPAL is to show our youth that just because the police show up, it's not always bad. And our Roseville Police Department is very engaged, and they're very helpful in many aspects of the community, including the Roseville Police Activities League. It's also a time, they are our most vulnerable, but they're also most susceptible to positive influence, and that's what RPAL does, and that's what the summer program does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comment? I'd entertain a motion.
Well, don't we need to fit, how much money? We need a number. Do we fund at the the average amount?
15,000, I'd support that.
I think that's reasonable too. I just want to make sure we're clear with the motion.
All right, so anyone have a motion?
I will make a motion to partially fund Roseville Police Activities League Summer Fall Programs 2024 for $15,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. So we have a motion from Commissioner Haywood and a second from Commissioner Carroll to fund the Roseville Police Activities League for the average recommended amount of $15,000. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Coming down.
Partial funding discussion for
We
the,
need to,
some of
because
these.
we've still got those other ones above it that we need to have a discussion on, and the, and this one too.
So shall we go,
If we're into the partial funding.
I think we need to go one by
realm,
one.
Then I think we need to go back to the other 2 categories, and, because they ranked higher,
Okay,
and determine where they're at
okay.
What do you mean they
Thinking
ranked
higher
higher?
doesn't really,
in those sections.
Percentage-wise?
But they had, when we're looking at their percentages, well, not the.
39% and
Yeah,
40%.
If we're looking at
first one.
So we can just go down by
the
percentage.
first one, by percentage, it's 57%.
Well, do we still have some higher percentages in the operational, so Compassion Planet, we didn't make a decision on that.
Right, all of our 60s, except for
Okay.
the one recusal. I would support continuing on with missional operational support, some of those groups,
Okay.
with the partial funding.
Do we want to talk about defending the cause then, or do you want to,
Do we need to make a decision on the ones we've already agreed to partially fund first?
Did we agree with that?
well, okay, well, let's go back.
Because we got to start having the numbers.
It's
and
Agreed.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'll go through the ones that we have agreed to partially fund. And we'll-
Without the recusal.
Without the recusals. So starting with the strategic one-time grants, we've agreed with partial for Placer Advanced Robotics Technology. For the operational and mission support, thus far, we've agreed to partial on Compassion Planet and Pride Industries. That's excluding other things.
So we had a motion taken on those 2?
We have
Compassion
not
Planet?
had a motion.
Oh,
No,
so we've
these
had
are-
discussion on that. Okay, all
Exactly.
right,
So,
all right,
so
right, right,
trying
good.
to like
All right,
build a list in terms of what we've already discussed that we would be okay partially funding.
Okay, all right.
That is what we've talked about, not including the other recusal or the recusals. I don't even know how we have that conversation. So that's what's on the list thus far. If we want to continue talking about, maybe the other thing too is where are we on the money? Doing,
1 second. So you're
Like
partially, you want to
115.
partially placer advanced robotics.
We haven't voted on that.
It's not a motion. We just need the number of where
You
we're
guys want a
at.
running total, though? Just
Yes,
to see what
please.
that's at? Okay, so,
Want to include that one yet, do we?
no.
hold on then a sec. Thought- Okay, so let me go back down. So you're talking about
118.
Compassion Planet, right?
No, wait,
I think we're at
We'd like to know How
118.
much money we have
Want to
left to
know,
spend.
okay, so right now you're at, 118, 143.
Should we go and discuss the recusal? Because that recusal is ranked higher.
okay. That's probably a good idea.
Okay.
They're ranked higher, but their percentage is much.
Which one are you talking about?
That would be a touch
Tuck
of
and keep?
I'm sorry, touch of understanding.
They're not, they're not at the 63%.
And I thought you guys already talked about them, but maybe.
We did, but we didn't finish it.
Okay.
We
Do you
did
need
not
me to
take
go
action
back?
on that. We
Okay,
did not
sorry,
take
then.
action on that.
Do you need me
So,
to?
well,
Do we
let's,
want to take action on that one now or not?
well, that one's at
I don't think I'm
49%.
supposed to be
Can't
here
talk
for even.
about it.
Sorry.
But we just need to make a decision whether we want to talk about it and let Commissioner
Exactly.
Ellison recuse herself. And I'm okay with postponing it.
Yeah.
Based on the criteria we're using, I just think we need to make sure we don't forget about that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Simply because of where the
Correct.
application is ranked.
Yes, true. It is ranked higher than some of the other ones we've been
Right.
discussing, and it probably warrants us to
Whether you even
take
want a
action on
partial.
that before we go to some of the other lower ranked ones.
feel like-
So yes,
Okay, then let's do
that
that.
would be my recommendation.
Okay, so they're going back to touch of understanding.
All right. So we initially decided to hold off on this.
Right.
What do we want to do? What sounds,
We did agree on, in concept, to partially fund, but I don't know if that has changed, given our discussion subsequently and the percent, and with the focus on the percentage of requested funding.
It wasn't high on my list based on everything else that was there, but I do understand we did discuss partial funding, but we did not take action on that or actually assign a percentage.
yeah.
I'm in the same boat.
All right, so we want to partially fund?
We have to decide on an amount.
Yeah, it's tough because it's ranked higher than some of the other ones we've taken action on, but I would be okay with, based on my review of the proposals, not funding this one,
Not funding?
not funding.
No.
But that was based on my review, but aggregated, everybody has a different opinion, so.
Right.
I actually ranked them pretty high.
I did too.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'm pretty sure I have it like the application right here. They like listed some of their schools that they like have gotten like that participated and like, am I allowed to list them?
You're fine.
Like they listed like Filament Farm, like Junction, Westbrook. So I feel like those schools are like in the Roseville area. So I ranked them pretty high. Also because like what they do is like important, and I like the reviews that they had on the application seemed like it made an impact on the lives of the students.
Yeah, I think a majority, if not all of the schools on the application that they listed are in Roseville. Some of them are in, and they're most of them are in Roseville City Elementary District. There are there's at least one school, maybe two, from the Dry Creek District, and maybe one from Eureka.
Okay.
Elementary school districts, of course.
Okay, and I'm in favor of partially funding them.
Okay.
At like, say, I mean, if we need to figure out a figure, maybe at 10,000, or, that sound good? I don't know.
I would be okay with that.
I need to open it up for public comment. Is there anybody who would like to make comment? All right. There is none, so I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to partially fund A Touch of Understanding for $10,000.
I'll second.
Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Okay, so Commissioner Haywood has made a motion to partially fund A Touch of Understanding for $10,000, and Commissioner Acosta has seconded. Commissioner Acosta.
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood.
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz.
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris.
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Two,
Okay.
eight.
Now have 108,143
108,
left.
143. Okay. So what we have not talked about, if we're going down the list in terms of ranking, is Defending the Cause Regional Alliance. Do we want to have a conversation about that?
Or do we want to go back to the percentages of the ones we didn't take action on for partial funding?
So I think the only one at that point that's a higher percentage is the robotics, which is at 50.
Well, no, we
Passion
did there
Planet.
too.
At
We have
Industries.
Passion
My bad,
Planet
okay.
and Pride.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And just to make it murkier, when I go out there, I can look at this list and come up with other thoughts. Okay. I have a question or comment that I wanted to ask about, well, one a comment, one a question. Question is, and there are no recusals on this one, that the chaplaincy, they're not in the 60s. It is a bigger ask, but I feel like that's a unique program that
I agree.
it's hard to measure how it's effective, but I think we know that it's.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and this is a year in, year out, we fund them, but this feels more like an extension of city services in a sense. So I don't want to miss that one. Then my question does involve one that's a recusal, but I think it makes it complicated, we'll say, and that's the Historic Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association, because there's 3, and I think that can potentially distort for the remaining.
The third is our missing chair.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. I already did that one.
You what?
I mean, I already checked that one out, make sure we would have a quorum on that one.
So,
I think that's one I've got to coordinate.
okay, well, let's, it sounded like from the chaplaincy side, is there maybe some support to do a partial funding there, and no recusals are involved in that one? I just didn't want that one to get lost.
I was going to ask about that one as well. I feel like they are unique. They're volunteers. I think that they have shown the numbers. They have a really good, strong application. And I think it is a very difficult thing, what they do. And I think it's critical, if we were to talk to those that they have served, in terms of what they need to do. And I think it is very unique. I also know that just based on what they have said and where they're at, I would fully fund them, but I know that we're going off of our rankings and all of that. So I would like to fund them as much as we can, just based on what they have put in their application, their numbers, they're 100% volunteer. They're very challenging situations that they respond to. There is nothing else like that in our county or even our city at all. We have a lot of these other ones that we are funding are after, like the ongoing support, but there isn't any other volunteer organization or paid organization that is able to do this outside of our law enforcement personnel themselves.
I'd support anywhere from partial to full funding. I did believe I fully funded them for a lot of the same reasons. I would propose that once we have this discussion, we take action on the ones that we have made a decision on, because we are getting really close. And I think that the decision on the ones we've talked about may impact the rest of our conversation.
I agree. And I would just say that I don't have any others that I feel very strongly about discussing. The chaplaincy was the last one that I wanted to discuss.
Got it.
So for all of the rest of the ones that we would be end up partially funding at this point, whether we fully fund the chaplaincy or not, I don't have any other strong feelings about the rest of them.
Okay.
So you were when you say the rest of them,
The ones we haven't discussed that
the-
are under a 55 ranking, or percentage, under a 55 percentage.
The Big
yeah.
Brothers and Big
Okay, so yeah. I think we could, I think what we should probably do is go back up. We could just start going from rank 11, 12, 14, 15, and just start going down those, making decisions on partial. But I want to make sure that we get back up to the Placer Advanced Robotics sometime before we run out. We talked about a partial funding of that application also. So I want to make sure that we get back up there to have discussions before we run out going down the operation mission support categories. That make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think comparing that to some of the other ones in this category, though, I'm not
I
quite
agree.
comfortable, pulling their money off just yet.
I agree.
Whose money off?
The Placer.
That reserving funds for the Placer Advanced Robotics when we
Got it.
still have others in the big group that I feel are.
Okay, so at this point, going back, what we still have on partial funding for Compassion Planet, we haven't decided on a number. I'm just trying to make certain we
Yeah,
have,
right.
like, our figures. So Compassion Planet, what the average proposed amount is at 31,429. Am I following this correctly?
Yes.
31,429, plus the other partial at Pride Industries at 7,263.
Don't have to use those averaged amounts. We can come up with
Different.
whatever we want.
Exactly.
Well,
I just want to make
that sounds a
certain.
little, that
yeah.
sounds a little
$2. But we,
random, but no.
yeah, I just want to make certain that where our funds are in terms of the ones we've already agreed
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
partial. And then we have some recusals. Okay.
And then, but do we have the Placer Law Enforcement Chaplaincy?
24,286.
That's all, those are the ones we have not made
The
a
ones
decision
We
yet
have not made a
on.
decision on, yes.
Okay.
And those, bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're down to the tough decisions.
We are, I know. That's, for those three, it's 62,978.
And we
Out
had
of the
Is
108.
that the average amount,
Those are the averages.
which we
correct.
don't have to do?
We don't have to
Right,
do,
right.
no. But I'm just saying if we just did that.
But
Yeah.
again, are we looking to fund, more closely, fully fund more organizations than to spread it around and have teeny tiny grants? So I would support,
Lean more toward
I would s-
fully funding, yes.
right.
Each
or-
of those,
And
okay.
and we have done that up to this point. right?
Correct.
So there,
Or use the average amount proposed for, if we're going to partially fund, which is what we have been doing.
And I would
Except for
rather,
one.
I would rather fully fund Compassion Planet and the chaplaincy than give partial funding to the helpline. Because I don't know that $7,000 is going to be helpful for them out of $11,000 that they need.
Then I was going to say, I agree with that, with Commissioner Acosta on that one.
Okay, so fully funding those two at $95,000.
then can you throw defending the cause in there? Because that kind of keeps our
Okay?
Yeah,
grouping based on our rankings.
I like that.
Is that
I wish
fully
that I did.
funding,
Yeah.
defending the
I mean, if you're
cause?
talking
Do we
fully
have enough
funding
money to fully
Compassion
fund?
Planet and chaplaincy
Defending
and
the cause plus,
1,000?
nope.
And then they want
At
Partially
111.
fund,
Could we use just the rest of the funds
Yeah.
to?
to fund defending the cause. What's that number?
All right, so if you guys fully fund, I just ran the numbers, so if you're fully funding Compassion Planet at 50,000 and Placer County Law Enforcement complaints at 45,000, And then the other one was
What do we have left after those
defending
two?
the cause.
Left after those two? If we
Just the
fully
two. Let me
fund
take the
those
16
two-
out. Hold on just a sec. 16, where are they? Defending the cause. So just those two, you're left at 13,143.
So that's what we would give defending the cause?
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
Yes.
defending the cause.
Yeah,
I like
that's,
that.
I would move for that.
Yeah, before we move, and I'm not supportive, I did want to talk about one of these other ones, though, and it is the one that has the two recusals, though. I just would like to have a discussion to understand it.
About
The
the,
Historic
sidewalks?
Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association, yeah.
Talk about that?
they all,
I'll see ya.
Okay, bye.
I am on one of the, not this particular Arcona board, but I am on the Arcona board and in one of the other neighborhood associations.
Oh, gotta say why.
this one too.
So Commissioner Parker, I am recusing myself because one of the petitioners is a donor to my campaign.
Who are we talking
Who you
about?
guys, who you?
Historic
Sierra Vista Neighborhood.
Neighborhood Association.
Yeah,
I feel very strongly, let's go ahead, but I feel very strongly not to fund them simply because I know there's something funky, fancy with the way the funding is designated in the city of Roseville. I don't want to even attempt to understand. However, I also felt very offended by the fact that they didn't even, they're coming in, they know that they're gonna come in every year. They made that clear, which is fine. But they really didn't have any effort to seek funding from anywhere else but us. And I don't want us to be the perennial purse. I don't think that's good stewardship. I think, again, everything is worthy, but again, when you're looking at a $75,000 ask, have to be a good steward with the money.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And I don't know that I'm strongly lobbying for their funding so much as I thought it would be at least worth having a discussion. This is one of those unglamorous projects where they probably don't have a lot of funding sources. I don't know what the city's decision on funding or not funding those are, and maybe, yeah, that's another discussion for another time. But it just felt like we should at least talk about it to understand where we are, especially knowing that three commissioners there's a certain tipping point where it's like if so many people are recused and that basically leaves the people who aren't involved, I can see where that could bias the application. So I just felt it was worth at least talking about it.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I will say that I didn't fund them at all. They were at the very bottom of my rankings, simply because I don't feel like they made the good case as to why this is important. I didn't understand, based on their application, how they came up with that. I mean, I understand they can't talk to the contractor about what that would be, but I also didn't see that there's a number of folks in the neighborhood that wanted to volunteer to help to reduce some of that cost or any of the other things. And in my own I can only speak about my own neighborhood, which is not part of this. And I know that we don't have an HOA, so we have a neighborhood association that's also a nonprofit, and we're out there doing sweat equity on the projects that we have to do that are not getting funded anywhere else, or we get sponsorships and those kinds of things, and none of that was in here. And again, they didn't describe the benefit. I didn't understand how this fell into health and wellness. I felt like this was a one-time strategic grant, in my opinion, and when I'm looking at it compared to all of the other in this category and how clearly they delineated what they do and how they distinguished it from other things and how it wasn't duplicating efforts, how they were working with these specific individuals, that wasn't present in this application. And that's why I didn't rank them as high. And I knew that partially funding them was not going to be beneficial. And $70,000 is a lot of money.
No, it's one of the higher
because
requests.
What are they going to do? Get one square piece of concrete? Like that's not.
Yeah.
And when I look at it in comparison to all the rest, that's why it landed where it landed. I don't think it's not a worthy cause. I think that in the context of what we're trying to do, and stewardship, the bang for our buck, so to speak. I don't feel like this provided that.
Yeah. And then that's fine. I mean, I just thought it was worth at least discussing
No,
and
yeah.
getting that feedback to them.
Thank you for
Appreciate
doing
that.
that. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I agree.
I'm looking at it from, I feel like, and I know I agree with what Commissioner Costa was saying about, and then, of course, Hayward mentioned about them being perpetual purse. One of the things, and I know I was not on the commission last year, I have nothing to do with this organization in any way, I have to make sure, But one of the things I did feel, and I'm looking from a city standpoint, because there are, Roseville does have many different types of neighborhoods, older neighborhoods, blah, blah. But I do feel like they went around the actual, what would you say, traffic, or different departments, basically, or kind of didn't do the initial ask. Maybe there were some things they could have got from a grant from the highway administration or something. I don't know how all those exactly work, but I do feel like they went around basically knocking on every door in the city. The way it came across, and is a kind of, we're trying to circumvent the system.
Thank you for articulating what I believe I intuitively was getting at with the way I felt about this application. I do feel very strongly. It is historic. I was very surprised to not even see in their partners, community partners, the city, other than what they're working on with the project that we funded already. And I agree. I think if because of the nature of the location and it being a historic district, I would like to see how there is demonstration of community beyond the neighborhood, and how does that community improve the efficacy? That was a huge factor for me in my rankings. Did the application show me how these partnerships would help reduce how it would increase the ability of the grant funding to impact more people, but at the same time, they can also reduce the amount of money that they need from the commission, rather than, they attract donors and things. That's where I was getting at.
Yeah.
Just took me a minute. So thank you for that.
Okay, because I didn't want to feel like maybe we, like you were mentioning, we're the only source. The other thing is, and I cannot speak for the city, but they have come before city council, and if somebody wants to look up YouTube videos of them coming in or something, but seriously, it did come across like they were trying to go against the traffic engineers and other people because they didn't get their way the first time. And and maybe it's a PR thing. I'm not saying they shouldn't keep trying, but they also should build those other additional partnerships.
Yeah, they alluded to some challenges that they were having implementing the grant funding for that last year. So that they were somewhat transparent about that. Yeah.
I'm hoping I wasn't making up
It wasn't.
anything.
I mean, they didn't make a big deal out of it, but they at least disclosed there were challenges.
Okay.
I'd like to add on, I ranked them pretty low because of the fact that they didn't have any other partners, and since it was like a huge ask, because to me it just seemed like they were depending solely on the grants from this commission to make these sidewalks, because the cause that they want to do it for is like really good and stuff, but I feel like personally I would have wanted to see more like dependence, like in the case that we couldn't give them full funding, that they would find some other funding someplace else, instead of just only from the city.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Are we good to bring them back?
Yep, okay.
We have no public.
Well, that was just a discussion anyway, so we're good. Didn't need to open.
Where are
saying before you left.
I think we need to open for public comment and then have a motion, I think is where we're at on those last three
The
applications.
last three.
Compassion Planet and Pride Industries.
And Compassion Planet, chaplaincy, and defending the cause.
In the cause.
The cause would be 13,143.
13,143.
That's the remaining.
For those
after
that
fully
might
funding
make a
the other two.
motion.
For the chaplaincy?
No, for defending.
That'd be for
Okay,
defending the
13.
cause.
Fully fund Compassion Planet and the chaplaincy, that's what's left for defending
Yeah.
the cause.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So at this point, we are talking about Compassion Planet, fully funding, defending the cause, partially funding at 13,143, and Placer County Law Enforcement Chaplaincy, fully funding at 45,000. Is there any, did I do that right?
You did it right.
Okay,
I'm
great.
looking at her because I think she's going to make the motion.
Okay, but I'm going to open it.
We have to
Yes.
open for public comment
I'd like to open it up for public comment.
And there's no members of the public remaining.
Exactly. And then close it, and then I will entertain a motion moving forward.
Second. Is that?
I'll make the motion. I thought,
I thought she was entertaining to make the motion, sorry.
we got our signals crossed. I will make a motion to fully fund Compassion Planet at $50,000, to partially fund Defending the Cause Regional Alliance, Inc. at $13,143, a partial funding, and to fully fund Placer County Law Enforcement Chaplaincy at $45,000.
I will second that motion.
Heather, will you please call the roll?
Okay, so we're going to fully fund Compassion Planet for $50,000 and Placer County Law Enforcement Chaplaincy for $45,000, with a partial funding to Defending the Cause Regional Alliance of $13,143. Motion by, Commissioner Haywood, and seconded by Acosta. Commissioner Acosta.
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll. Commissioner Haywood.
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz.
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris. And Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that's it, right? Oh, congratulations.
Okay, we have one more motion that.
You do.
Yeah, so we will need to make a motion to, you can do one whole motion to not fund in the strategic one-time grant number 3, Placer Advanced Robotics, and then 16 through 18 and 20, and 20 through 27 in the operational mission support, and then 4 through 6 in small requests.
Does that take into account recusals?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, but,
Sorry.
so,
We gotta do-
who's lost but not forgotten?
Then what we need to do at this point is
The two sections.
rank number 3, Placer Advanced Robotics Technology and the strategic one-time grants. We need to, make a motion to not fund that and not fund
Then we-
17,
16?
16?
3 is.
Okay,
we ended
sorry,
up,
I'm
yeah.
going, okay.
16 and 17.
16, 17, 18, 20,
And then we have.
22,
Yeah.
and 24. And then in small requests, ranking number 4, and then 5. Is there, we need public comment for that, correct? Opening to public comment? There is none?
Public is left.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I will so move.
Second?
Second.
Heather, please call the roll.
She's catching up. Just give her a
Oh,
second.
girl, I get
I
it.
didn't do it. I didn't want to mess her up.
Okay.
That's why I didn't repeat it.
So, this, all right,
Now
so
we
I
have,
just want to
now we
make.
have the recusal, so we have to
recusals.
duck people out.
I think
It's
it's clear on
clear.
the record,
Okay,
so
it's clear.
that's what's on the table.
To not fund. And
Yeah,
so
they were
roll
in.
call, Commissioner Acosta,
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll, Commissioner Haywood.
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz,
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris. And Vice Chair Parker. Thank you.
Okay. That being said, I think now we have our recusals.
Yeah, but we had to do the no. We gotta do the-
Yeah, so now we have the recusal, so whomever needs to recuse themselves from Keaton's Child Cancer Alliance.
I bet you that I need to recuse because of personal reasons.
Okay. Public comment? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment. Is there a motion?
I would move to not fund Keaton's Child Cancer Alliance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Heather, will you call the roll?
Yes. Okay. A motion to not fund Keaton's Child Cancer Alliance by Commissioner Acosta, seconded by Commissioner Haywood. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker. Thank you.
We can do 23.
I think we can, yeah, I think
The person that
I think-
refused is not here.
Yes, we could, if
So who's the recusal?
it's Commissioner
chair.
Reed.
Oh, okay,
Or
great.
Chair Reed.
Oh, okay, well, I guess we could have done that.
So we can do
initially.
that one.
Okay, so, gonna read back, okay. Hart's Landing Ranch, open to public comment. Nobody's here. Close the public comment. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to not fund.
Second.
Heather, will you call the roll?
Yes, and that was for Hart's Landing to not fund. Motion by Commissioner Haywood, seconded by Commissioner Acosta. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I do this and drop, because I need to recuse myself from the next three, so can we do the lost but not forgotten first? And then go back to these three, so it'll be easier? Okay. Commissioner Haywood, you needed to leave.
Yeah, I already announced, but I have to say it again? Why I have
You already
to?
did. You already
Yeah.
did. I apologize. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just
You
making
already
sure.
did. I'm sorry, we did this earlier.
On the record.
What's this one? Lost but not for, oh, that's this one I have down here.
All right, we'll open it up to public comment, and no one's here, so close it for public comment. Is there a motion?
I'll move to not fund Lost But Not Forgotten.
Is there a second?
Second.
Heather, will you call the roll, please?
Who's second?
Carol.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. A motion by Commissioner Kriz to not fund Lost but not forgotten, and seconded by Commissioner Carroll. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz? And Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Thank you.
So I am going to recuse myself from the remaining three, the historic Sierra, oh, you guys, we already did that, so.
Well,
Or we didn't?
didn't take
Okay.
action.
Okay, so I need to recuse myself from the Historic Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association. Again, I already mentioned why. Placer Food Bank, because one of the people listed on the personnel list donated to my campaign. And then the Gathering Inn, because in my work in another capacity, I had a site visit during the grants period. So I am recusing myself from those three. And when, there she is.
One in there.
Yes.
Is there anybody else?
Yes. Commissioner Meeks Harris, and I'm recusing myself from the Gathering Inn because of there is a classmate in my Leadership Roseville class.
Okay. So you're not going to want to leave for the other two, right? So, okay,
Correct.
great.
We're going to do the gathering in right now.
Oh, okay.
That's the one that both of you are out of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Just do this one first, and then.
Okay, I'll entertain, open for public comment. No, seeing no public comment, I'll open and to entertain a motion to not fund.
I will move to not fund the Gathering In this funding cycle.
I will second.
Thank you. Okay, a motion to not fund the Gathering Inn by Commissioner Kriz and seconded by Commissioner Acosta. Commissioner Acosta? Aye. Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
And that's it.
So now we can bring back Commissioner Meeks.
Harris, yeah.
Harris,
And
yeah.
do the other two. Oh, but we have more people that have to leave on, you have to leave for the
Historic.
Sierra Vista.
So do that one first.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, do the other one?
First.
Okay. I know.
Are you also recusal for no, she's not.
No, I
No.
think
It's
Harris,
Vanessa.
are you, it was,
Do
because
the
there's three.
Historic and the Placer
Vanessa
Food
was
Bank right now?
Vanessa.
That's what I was asking.
Be
Sorry.
here for food bank, just not for historic.
We're doing the historic one next. So that's why he's heading out.
Oh, I
Switch trains.
No, I got it. I'm on board the train. What is this one? I'm just, yeah, no, I got it.
Leave the station without me.
I appreciate your frank honesty. Okay, so here we are. Okay, I'm still chair here, so let's get focused. I will open for public comment. Seeing no public comment, I will close public comment and entertain a motion to not fund the Historic Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association.
I motion to not fund the Historic Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association.
I second.
Thank you. Okay, so a motion to not fund the Historic Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association by Commissioner Acosta and seconded by Commissioner Meeks Harris. Commissioner Acosta?
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll? Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
Got them all. Thank you.
Chris can come back, but not.
Very efficiently. Figuring it out. Quickly as it can be with that many recusals, right?
That we both recusals?
All right, so now we're
that
taking
they didn't get
action on
sidewalks,
the
right?
Placer Food Bank, open for public comment. Seeing no public comment, I'll close for public comment, and I'll entertain a motion to not fund the Placer Food Bank application.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. So we have a motion to not fund Placer Food Bank by Commissioner Kriz and seconded by Commissioner Acosta. Commissioner Acosta? Aye. Commissioner Carroll?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Kriz?
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks Harris?
Aye.
Thank you.
He's just making sure, did we get all the refusals?
Let's see. Gather. Parsley,
We have to go back to the
yes.
box.
I think that's everything now.
We did, because we did that one, the big one.
Thank you.
We're done.
I think so.
Now we're into Commissioner staff reports.
I mean, we're done with the
Oh,
funding.
it's a full funding.
I can put
Yes,
that
of
away.
course.
Great. So, Commissioner staff reports. Does anybody have anything to report? Or staff? I need to go to you first, don't I? I apologize.
I want to congratulate you guys. It looks like you are recommending to fund 23 of the nonprofits out of the 38 scored, so nice job. The goal is to take the recommendations to the city council on May 15th. And anyone that's listening, the organizations that would like to be at the council meeting, they're invited to be there. So it looks like the check distribution will be in August. That got moved. It is not in July. Due to some stuff going on with funding for the city as far as when our timeline is and the 4th of July holiday and getting contracts back from the nonprofits. So that will be August, the first meeting in August, which is Tuesday, August 13th, is when we will have that check distribution meeting. So then we will meet again in May and then see you guys in August. That's all I have.
We are going to meet in
We're
May.
going to meet in May, yes. There's some things on the agenda.
Okay, so there's.
It's not a very heavy agenda, but there is some items, as far as I remember, the surveys. So you guys can take a look at those. Now that this is done, you can read them and discuss. I have my calendar here. Hold on a second. I know we have a commissioner that is, this is her last time with us, so we will be honoring Dawn. You'll also get the 22-23 ARPA final report summary, so that's done. And then I believe that's it. So just a couple items.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So open up to commissioners, if anybody has anything to.
I just want to say thank you to not only the City Council for giving me the privilege and the honor to serve the city and this commission for 10 years. I'm going to get teary.
Yes, you have to save it for next month.
All right, I'll save it for next month. But I also want to say thank you to, and that was actually the purpose of this, was really to say thank you to the nonprofits for 10 years of an amazing opportunity to learn about what you do, to become, I immerse myself in it, so I feel like I'm part of your organizations. And I've made the choice to stay away from many of you in terms of visiting and whatnot, but I'm looking forward to the new chapter that will come in terms of my relationship with the nonprofits in the community and serving you in a different capacity. So thank you all for the work you do, and I'm so happy that I've been able to positively contribute to your organizations over the past 10 years.
I just wanted to thank staff. I know there was a lot going on, and I apologize I was late with my stuff, so thank you for putting everything together. And yeah, I'd be curious, and we'll talk, I guess, in May on how some of the new things that we did, you know, the review process in between and some of that, how that went. Question, if the nonprofits who receive funding don't get their checks until July, will that change their funding cycle year? Like normally the reports are due at the end of August. I don't know if, and we can talk about that, or it sounds like no.
No, it should, their cycle will still be the same. If there is an organization that truly needs the money, they can reach out to us, but most of the organizations, and I think we talked a little bit about this too, seem to be fine with that, getting it just a month later. I hate to say float, but some of them already have the funds and spend, and it's just reimbursing their account. We looked at this. We spent a lot of time actually evaluating it, and just with the schedule and where the holiday falls and how the city processes funds across the board for the city, it was just going to be really difficult to turn around.
Our fiscal year
Yes.
starts January 1st, and we're not allowed to submit any checks or new organizations to our supplier group. So it was impacting many different departments throughout the city. And so, and with the holiday, 4th of July, and it was putting a lot of demand on some of the staff throughout the departments.
Right. And I know you guys like to have council here as well. A lot of them were going to be on vacation, so we weren't going to have that. I think we talked about like downtown Tuesday nights is in July too, so now hopefully we'll get more, and we won't have anyone struggling to find parking. And some of the organizations I know that participate in downtown Tuesday nights aren't able to come receive their check or send anyone here. So it was just that we had a lot of different considerations. So we are going to do something fun this year too. We made some large, big checks, so we'll be presenting, so we have a little bit more of a fun fact, or fun, to take a photo with, to write their names on the bigger checks. So hopefully it's not going to be a huge impact to the organizations by waiting 1 month, but it does allow us to process things a lot easier.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
yeah.
I was going to say thank you to staff. I know this was my first go-around, and there were few edits the first time I submitted, and that was because I was working on 2 screens. So next year, hopefully, I will be a pro at this, and definitely just, again, like Commissioner Hayward was saying about the organizations, we thank you for putting in the time, though you may be funded or not, still, continue your mission, and that sort of thing is be willing to also look for other fundings, but we're here as a commission to be able to, in our capacity, to assist to make our community a better place.
And I will just echo my fellow commissioners and say thank you to the nonprofits for making it difficult. Because I have worked in other counties, and The fact that this is difficult speaks to the level of support and community that we have here in Roseville, which I think is unique in a lot of ways. Going through the applications, the amount of collaboration amongst those nonprofits was impressive to me. You also don't see that in some of the other surrounding counties. That they're larger and that, resources are scarce. But even when resources are scarce, I have seen, this is my third year now, I think, the collaboration amongst the groups of we still are going to serve them regardless of how much funding we receive. And I think that it should be applauded from all of our organizations. Nonprofits are always looking for the ways that they're going to fund, and financially it's been hard coming out of the pandemic for a lot of people. So giving has been challenging and inconsistent. Grants have been inconsistent across the board with different funding and all of that over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. So I just want to applaud that the missions and the values have been evident in every application, whether they're funded or not. And the work that is being done in our community is just phenomenal. And I am grateful to be on this commission, to be able to be a part of that. I'm grateful to live in this community and be able to partner alongside as a citizen. So I just wanted to make that known. It was a very difficult decision, I think, for all of us, because we would love to fund every single person that puts in their application because we know their work is solid and it's needed in our community. So grateful for that.
And I'm just, who would have thought that it would be difficult to give away money, right? But it's always a challenge, tough decisions, but we're called to make these recommendations based on stewardship and direction from council, and did the best we could, but it is always a difficult decision because there's such great work that's going on in this community to make Roseville a special place. And back when we did the needs assessment, that was one of the things that the consultants had come back with was this is special. It's a special place, and it's a special opportunity to be able to invest in that community and the people that are doing the work to make it a special place. And yeah, you could feel it. Just we're different in a lot of different reasons, but this is just one of the little ones that makes a difference.
Bay, would you like to say something?
I'm just very grateful for this opportunity, by the commissioners and the staff, and also by the nonprofits. I feel like I've learned a lot and gained a lot of firsthand experience that I'm very grateful for. So thank you all.
And I would echo about everything that was said on here. It was really wonderful for the first time to read all of the reports or all of the applications, just to see again how everybody works together, how a lot of folks do this on their own time to help make their communities better and to make people's lives better. So, thank you to all of you. Also, thank you to the commissioners and to the public and to staff for your patience with me today. I am very grateful for that.
Great job. Great job.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Commissioner Acosta?
I only heard Commissioner Acosta. I kind of heard somebody over there. I don't even know who. I'm not sure who it was. Sorry.
So all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, well, we will, motion carries, and our next meeting is May 14th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. And the Grants Advisory Commission meeting is adjourned at, it looks like 8:56 p.m. or 7:56 p.m. I have the wrong glasses on. Thank you.